life. Here we are today, continuing our learning about our learning style, viewing meditation. So, last week when I talked to you, I explained already two learning style that we may have. So, we went into the visual learning style where I explained it to you with the example of building an IKEA furniture or kitchen cabinet, where if the first reflex you have when you get this kit to build and set up, if your first reflex is to open the little booklet that is inside to read all the guiding instructions, and you need to see all the screws and the design and all the things they have included in the learning manual, then you're more than likely have a visual learning style ability, and that's what you prefer. Then we go into the auditory learning style. The auditory learning style is when we prefer to hear it. Like I was giving you last week as an example, I told you about the manual of IKEA and how you can read and so on. Then, just to show you how you are an auditory learner, I add some specific instructions of how do I build those structures to make them more solids and everything. And for us to have an easier time to screws those screw, because this little L is not very handy and practical, and there's other ways to do it easier, to make our life easier. I'm all about making our life easier. So here it is. When I explain that, or those instructions, I told them out loud, I speak them out to you. So, if some of you could not follow what I was saying out loud as my explanation, then it's because you truly are a visual learner. Those of you who got exactly what I meant and what I said, and you didn't need anything else, you could just go ahead and do exactly what I was instructing you to do, then you are an auditory learners. It's quite different in French than English. Auditory learners. So this is your style, right? Now, today I want to tell you that there is the kinesthetic ability or kinesthetic learner style. And that is when you prefer to have it in your hands. It's the hand-on, if we may say, ability to learn. So you will do your IKEA furniture or kitchen cabinet, you'll build them up, you'll assemble them, but you don't necessarily need the written instruction. You don't necessarily need someone to tell you what to do. You put all the pieces on the floor, and somehow, logically, by manipulating them, you figure out how to do it. You are able to assemble that kitchen cabinet or dresser or chair from IKEA, and you can do it with no manual, and nobody tells you how, because it's by manipulating the object itself that you figure out, oh, that must fit there, oh, that should go like this, and then you turn it around and say, ah, here it is, there's the fitting and everything. So you are a kinesthetic learner, and that, quite frankly, is more my style, by the way. I am very good at just taking the stuff and hands-on, I mean, I don't look at the manual. I don't listen to anything. I just go ahead and do it. And that's what I've been doing all my life. That's how I do it. Now, we can have all three of those learning style as well. That's right. And before I get into that, I want to add there is one more learning style that has been popping up suddenly, because at the beginning when they came out with those learning style, there was only the three of it. Now they have had one more, and quite frankly I agree with them, because funny enough, when my son was, I don't know, maybe he was 10 years old, something like that, I believe so. Yes, around 10 anyhow. And he was learning. He was going into a group school, homeschooling, but group school, and he had to learn all the parts of the body, and which muscle, what's the name of each muscle, each bone, and everything. I mean, an amount of work, a mountain of work, right? That he would have to learn, quite frankly, fast enough, and because they would have an exam on it the next day. But then, of course, like most kids, at the last minute, Mama, I don't know, we have the exam and stress out and all of this. So I looked at him and I said, okay, my love, well, first of all, relax, take some deep breath. It's not going to help if you stress. So I relax, he's follow all my advice, because he is suddenly lost and he knows that he needs help. So I tell him, okay, my love, so let's me ask you, how did you go about trying to learn all those terms and recognize them, that this word belongs to this part of the body and so on? Did you ever try any way for you to learn them? Well, yes, Mama, I tried it. Paul was one of his friends. He's giving me the names, and I go and I point in my body where the parts are and everything, but it's not working. Okay, did you look at an image? Yeah, but it's not working. I don't even have 50 of them. So I looked at him. I said, okay, love, okay, now I know what to do. We're going to sit together, and I'm going to set you up a system here, and you're going to take the chart that you see with all the words and the body part and where it goes and everything, and you're going to copy it. Why would I do that? And blah. I said, let's just try, right? Because you've tried all the other ways and it's not working. So give it a chance. Just copy exactly that chart. Make one. Make the little body and put the words, put a line on an arrow that points where that part is, and do the entire words and part of the body. Then you're going to go and out and you're going to play with your friend for an hour. And when you come back, I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to point some part of my body and you're going to say the words. So we did that, right? So if my memory served me, it must have taken an hour or even more to do the entire work, right? And truly, I was kind of checking some time on him saying, apply yourself, my love, because this is a crucial step for you to learn. And if you apply yourself right away, you're not going to have to do it again and again. So he applied himself, went out outside to play and everything. And when he came back, we did the game of pointing the parts of my body, and he would say what it was. And he was like, how come I know them all? I just did write them. And I said, yes, love, it's because your learning style. And I explained to him what the learning style was and so on. And I said to him, especially when you're stressed out, all the other learning style go out of the window, because when we're stressed, we are in a kind of a fighting mode, kind of a survival mode, where all the other abilities that we have learned that we could use suddenly go out of the windows, and we are left with our true, essential, and unique abilities. Even if we've learned to use other style, all the other style goes out of the window because the stress and the worried made us be, well, made us forget how to think properly. So, especially in the learning environment, we need to have, believe it or not, a situation where we allow ourselves to integrate knowledge, to process it, and to truly master it so we can reuse it later on. But for that, we need to be in a certain level, a certain mode. So, mind-wise, mind-wise, they'll say, in the alpha and theta brainwave, you are at the best stage to learn. And I say, yes, that is true. And then also, we need to relax. We need to be at ease and not worry and take it easy, because as soon as we stress out, all of our abilities are becoming primary and we're losing our other abilities that sometimes serves us better. So, to come back to learning style, I never went away from that, but to come back to the fourth learning style, you can also be the reader and writer style, right? In a sense, like my son, where I gave him the chart with all the design of the body and all the parts, the name of the parts, and by having him writing it down, redrawing the design, and truly writing each words, aligning it to each part, that made him learn it. So when he went to his exam the next day, he only had to think and visualize in his mind that chart that he had made it. And he would see, oh yeah, I wrote like that. I see these letters that I wrote. And that's how he was able to make his exam. And you know what? He came out of it with a beautiful notes. I remember a mark or whatever, right? A plus. So that proved for him that this time, that moment for this kind of a task, he needed that type of a learning style of being reading the material, but also writing it for himself. And for me as well, it has been some time in my life, especially when I was in school, where for me, if I could read and write it many times, sometimes many times for me, but again, it's my dyslexia, sorry, that does that. It's just the way it is, right? So, no biggie. We just write it many times. And on specific occasions, especially grammars, learning the rule of writing in French, because there's lots of rule in French. So learning to write in French and all these rules, special verbs and conjugation and all of this, I had to write it many times. I had to see it in the book and I wrote it down many times to just integrate. And that's our learning style. So to prove it to you that many times in life, we could use a certain approach to learn certain material, but some other time in life there is other specific type of materials where suddenly our primary learning style go out of the window and we need some the kinesist style. We need the reading and writing style. We need to change our approach to learn that specific set of knowledge and to integrate it properly. So again, when I build furniture, IKEA's furniture. I'm really much a kinesist. I would refurnish a piece of furniture. Again, I'm hands on. I do fans. I'm hands on. I don't need anybody to tell me that how to drill the thread, the hole, and how to put the screw. I've learned it like that, and since I was a very little girl. But when it comes to learning grammar, in any languages, by the way, I need to read it and write it many times because of the dyslexia. I need to repeat it many times. But someone who does not have dyslexia, like my son, he can do it once. By doing one time and applying yourself to it, right? You have to apply yourself to it. You don't need to redo it, and you know what you need to know. You've learned and integrate that knowledge. And the example is so, I mean, he came out of that exam with an A plus. Of course, it was not even high school, it was elementary school, but nonetheless, he was stressing out because he felt that he didn't know and he was not ready for that exam. By doing that, I gave him the ability to know his learning style. So in the future, when something else came up, I could just look at him and I would say, "What are you doing, love? Okay, you gotta learn that. Okay." And he just knew that if he do practice whatever he needs to learn doing that method, he will integrate it very fast. Now, before I let go of you, we can mix all of these methods. It's not because your primary learning style will be visual or auditory or kinesthetic and or reading and writing that you cannot have the other one. You could mix it even in a one simple set of learning tasks. You could be sitting in your school and you will need a teacher to give you a chart that is on the blackboard or on the paper. You will need to have the teacher telling you what is on the chart, how to read that chart, and you will need to copy it on yourself for yourself on another piece of paper. And if it is possible, because it's not always feasible to be hands-on, if it could be hands-on as well, then you will need to do that one too before you truly integrate that knowledge. And that is true for a lot of specifically complex content and material to learn. Not everything is easy to learn, right? There's complexity in the content that one needs to learn and master. I think that being studying for being a doctor, you more than likely have times where you need those kind of learning style to help you integrate. It's not given to everybody to be able to retain complicated words and long word like that and Latin word when they don't speak Latin, never spoke Latin, and don't even have a Latin root like I do. I do because I speak French. But things can be complicated sometimes to learn. So when we go and take a look at our learning style and know that we can mix them up, it's an advantage. So that's why I'm telling you all of this about those learning styles. Now, pretty soon in my next presentation next week, I will explain to you why I went and took too long period, I should say, to show you the learning style and talk about that because they are connected into your ability to do mindful meditation and also to learn to develop your sensory system, right? You may think, wonder how she's going to twist that. It'll be very easy and simple, but as soon as you sit there and practice those steps that I will introduce next week, you will right away say, now I understand why it is easy or easier to do mindful meditation and to work in developing my sensory system when I know already what is my primary learning style. So that is it for now for this show. But before I let you go, I want also to tell you, because it's a must, February 26th to March 1st, I have created a wonderful summit. We will have 15 plus speakers. And the summit title is Success Strategy, a sensory approach. Our sensory system. Why is it so important to have the ability to develop our sensory system to create a successful life? And what is a successful life to start with? Well, my successful life may not be the same as yours. My successful life is creating the life on my own term, doing what I want, what I like, when I want, as much as possible. It is not always the same. It's not always true. It's not every day that we do exactly what we want, but as much as possible, most of the time. And why our sensory system, our inner self, our self-discovery is essential into creating life on our own terms, a life that we are happy, satisfied, fulfilled, feel strong in it, have the energy and even more potential. And we learn and grow and want to do more because we are so happy in what we're doing. So you've been struggling with your life. You've been doing all kinds of exercise. You may even have a coach sometime in your life. But still today, you feel that you're still not fulfilled with what you're doing in life, especially with your work, especially with whatever you're doing for a job. And you want to change that. You do want to have a happy, fulfilling life. You've been trying to truly get in touch with your inner self, with your self-discovery, with your higher soul, higher self, however you want to call it. And you are not there. It's not working. It's like there's always like a, I'm not there. There's something more. I want more. I've tried many, many, many things, but I'm still not fulfilled. I still don't know how to go within and touch my inner self or have those deep, full meditation everybody talks about, or be able to even work with my sensory ability. You know that it exists, you know people are talking about it, but you cannot reach it. So here you go. I got this summit for you. It's a free entry. You just click below, go check it. And we have beautiful people. And especially Steve G. John, Dr. Steve G. Johns will be with us He is a specialist. He is a clinical hypnotist, and he has a tons of product. He has a library of audios to guide you to all sorts of problems that you could fix. You don't even need to work one on one with him. You could if you wish, of course. But he has been doing this, for over 20 years. And he will be right there. And there is, again, Gwent White, Quantum Human Design. Wow. Myself, I've never heard about it before. And when I got to learn, and when I got in contact with her and we talked and I learned about what is quantum human design, I said, oh my God, you're going to be in my summit because it's right on. It helps you discover your strength and your weaknesses. And more than that, it even guides you and explain why you react a certain way. And if you are a leadership, if you are what type of a person you are, it identified pinpoints that are very important and strategic in creating life on our turn. So I invite you, click down below, go see, learn more about Summit Success Strategy, a sensory approach, and you will have a panoply of amazing people that will teach you how to apply right away, today, specific step of action so you can begin getting in touch with your inner self and create life on your own terms. And I'll see you tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, sorry. I'll see you next week for our show, Master Your Life. Thank you.